The night began like any other in the quiet town of Silver Grove. The air was calm, the stars bright, and only the soft hum of distant streetlights broke the silence. But something strange stirred in the sky that night, something that no one could explain. Aria Blake sat on the roof of her small apartment, watching the stars as she always did. She was a young researcher, quiet and curious, the kind of person who looked for meaning in everything. Her parents used to say she lived with her head in the clouds, and tonight, that saying would come true in a way they could never imagine. She noticed at first a faint shimmer among the stars, like a reflection in moving water. At first, she thought it was a trick of her eyes, maybe the reflection of city lights. But the shimmer grew brighter, wider, and began to twist like a spiral of light tearing through the heavens. The air changed. A low hum spread through the town. Vibrating in the walls and windows, dogs barked, lights flickered, and people stepped outside in confusion. Then, without warning, the sky split open. A perfect circle of glowing blue light expanded above the town, swirling and pulsing with energy. The wind rose into a storm, pulling leaves, papers, and even small stones into the air. Everyone stared up, terrified and amazed. It was not lightning, not fire, not anything from this world. Aria's eyes widened, her heart pounding. She grabbed her camera and began to record, whispering to herself, "This can't be real." The circle in the sky started spinning faster, and at its center, she could see something moving. Something like shifting shapes or shadows. The colors around it pulsed like a heartbeat. One moment blue, then white, then deep red. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed across the sky and everything went still. The portal hung there, silent and perfect, glowing above the town like an open eye. Then softly a whisper reached Aria's ear. Carried by the wind, it spoke one word, her name. She froze. No one else seemed to hear it. But she was sure the voice had said, "Aria." Her hands trembled, the camera shaking as she whispered back, "Who's there?" The portal shimmered, and for a brief second, she saw something inside. A shadowed figure looking straight at her. The next morning, Silver Grove was everywhere in the news. Scientists were baffled, reporters filled the streets, and soldiers blocked the roads leading to the town center. They called it the rift in the sky, and no one could explain where it came from or what it was. Some said it was a government experiment. Others claimed it was the end of the world. But deep inside, Aria felt something else, a pull, like the portal was waiting for her. Later that evening, while walking home, she noticed a man standing in front of her apartment. He was tall, wearing a dark coat and gloves. His eyes calm but intense. "Aria Blake?" he asked, his voice quiet but steady. She nodded slowly, feeling both curiosity and fear. "I'm Aaron," he said, "and I think you've been chosen." Aria blinked in confusion. Chosen for what? Aaron looked up at the glowing sky, where the portal still shimmered faintly behind the clouds. "To cross," he said. "To enter the other side before it closes." She stared at him, half laughing, half scared. "You're joking, right? No one even knows what that thing is." He shook his head. "I know, I've seen it before. In another world," those words sent a chill down her spine. Another world, that idea sounded impossible. Yet something in his tone felt true. "Why me?" She asked. "Because it called your name," he said simply. "And it only calls once." The wind picked up again, and the air shimmered. Lights across the street began to flicker, and the faint hum returned. The same sound she'd heard before the sky had torn open. Aaron looked at her with urgency. "It's opening again. You must choose now." "Choose what?" she asked, her voice trembling. "To jump in," he said, "or to prepare yourself before you do." Aria stared at the glowing sky, her mind spinning. Everything logical told her to stay, to study it from a distance, but her heart whispered something else. A strange curiosity, a hunger to know the truth. The ground beneath her feet began to vibrate as the air pulsed with energy. The portal was expanding again, glowing brighter and brighter. The sound grew into a roar like thunder. People screamed in the distance, alarms blared, but Aria didn't move. Her thoughts raced. What if this was her one chance to discover something beyond human knowledge? What if stepping through that light meant changing everything she knew about life itself? Aaron reached out his hand, his eyes steady. "If you go now, there's no turning back." Aria looked at his hand, then up at the swirling portal in the sky. The wind tore through her hair and the pull became stronger, as if the portal itself was calling her closer. She took one hesitant step forward, then another. Her heart pounded in her chest. every nerve alive with fear and wonder. Behind her, the town's lights blinked out one by one as the energy built to a breaking point. Aaron's voice echoed through the noise. Decide now, Aria. Jump in. Or prepare. Her hand reached toward the light as everything around her dissolved into color. The screen of her camera flickered, capturing one final image. Her face lit by blue light, eyes wide with awe. The wind screamed, the sky exploded into brightness. And just before everything went silent, Aria whispered one word to herself. Ready. Then the light swallowed her whole. The world around Aria vanished in a burst of light. For a long moment there was only silence, only weightless drifting through endless color. She felt her body spinning through a tunnel of glowing mist, blue and gold swirls racing past her like time itself was unraveling. Her heart pounded, her thoughts scattered. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then suddenly, her feet hit solid ground. The light faded, and she stumbled forward, gasping for air when her vision cleared. She found herself standing in a vast open field beneath a crimson sky. The air was warm but heavy, and the wind carried whispers that sounded almost like voices. She turned around, hoping to see the portal, but it was gone. Only a faint shimmer hung in the distance, fading fast like a dream slipping away. Aria realized she was alone in a world that was not her own. The grass glowed faintly under her boots, and the trees around her were transparent, as if made of light and glass. Her mind raced. Was this a hallucination? Or had she truly crossed into another world? She bent down to touch the ground, and it felt real. Cool, rough, solid. She could feel her heartbeat echoing in her ears. This can't be Earth, she whispered, her voice shaking. A soft hum filled the air again, growing louder. And then she saw it. A figure forming in front of her. Rising from the light like a reflection becoming solid. It was tall, glowing faintly. Its body smooth and featureless except for a single bright core in its chest. Its voice was calm and deep, echoing in her mind rather than her ears. Welcome, traveler, it said. You have entered the first mirror of existence. Aria stepped back, startled. Who are you? I am the keeper of paths, it replied. I guide those who dare to cross between realms. Its voice carried neither threat nor comfort, only truth. Why am I here? Aria asked, her tone uncertain. Because the portal chose you, the keeper said, and now, your choices will shape the path ahead. Before she could ask more, the ground beneath them began to shift. The sky darkened, cracks of blue light splitting the air like lightning. Mountains rose and fell in the distance as if the world itself was breathing. You must decide quickly, the keeper said. For this realm is unstable. A familiar voice called out from behind her. Aria turned, and there was Aaron standing near a glowing ridge of stone. He looked real, human, just as she remembered, though faint lines of light ran across his skin. I told you to prepare, he said sharply. You jumped too soon. Aria felt a wave of confusion and relief. Aaron, how did you get here? I never left, he said. I was waiting for you on this side. The keeper turned its glowing face toward him. The guide has spoken, it said, but even he cannot control the storm. What storm? Aria asked. The storm of choices, the keeper replied. Every path you take builds or destroys a world. Aria looked around. The horizon was shaking, colors twisting like oil on water. She could see cities forming in the distance, towers of glass rising from nothing, only to shatter seconds later. It was beautiful and terrifying. This place, Aaron said, is called the Mirror Realm. It reflects every version of every choice ever made. The keeper's voice echoed again. Each decision creates a new reflection, each reflection, a new world. Aria's heart ached at the thought. So everything I do here matters. More than you can imagine, Aaron said quietly. And there is no reset button. They began walking toward a glowing ridge where the sky bent inward like a curved mirror. Aria could see faint outlines of herself inside that surface. One smiling, one crying, one turning away. The sight made her dizzy. Are those me? She whispered. Yes, Aaron said. Echoes of your other selves, born from your decisions. Suddenly, the wind howled and the ground cracked open beneath them. A blast of red light shot from below. Shaking the world, the keeper raised its hand, its core flickering. The rift grows, it said. You must choose your path now. Two portals appeared before Aria, swirling side by side. One shone with calm blue light, filled with faint visions of order and peace. The other burned red, alive with chaos and movement. Aaron pointed to the blue portal. That one leads to stability, to knowledge, to control. The keeper's voice whispered softly. The red one leads to truth, but not safety. Aria stood frozen, her thoughts spinning. Behind her, the world continued to collapse, the crimson sky breaking apart piece by piece. Every instinct screamed at her to choose fast. But her heart hesitated. Aaron stepped closer. You can trust me, he said. I've seen what waits beyond the red one, meant to being, and it destroys everything. But the keeper shook its head. He speaks from fear, not truth. The ground shook harder, cracks opening wide beneath her feet. Aria closed her eyes, hearing the voices of her echoes whisper through the wind. Each voice sounded like her own, each saying something different. Follow him. Go alone. Find the truth. Don't look back. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She took a deep breath, her gaze shifting between the two swirling portals. The blue one hummed softly like a promise. The red one roared like a challenge. She turned to Aaron one last time, his expression desperate. You have to trust someone, he said. Reaching for her hand, Aria's eyes hardened. No, she whispered. I have to trust myself. She turned away from him and stepped toward the glowing light. Her choice made. The wind screamed as she moved, her body lifting off the ground. Drawn into the portal she had chosen, Aaron shouted her name, his voice echoing through the storm. The keeper's final words followed her as she vanished. The first path is chosen, the loop begins. The world collapsed behind her, light swallowing everything, and then silence. Light and sound twisted together as Aria tumbled through the red vortex. It felt like falling through a dream that refused to end. Her body floated and turned, pulled in every direction at once, until finally everything stopped. The air hit her face, warm, heavy, and strange. She landed on the ground with a soft thud, her knees scraping against smooth stone. When she opened her eyes, her breath caught. She was standing in the middle of a vast forest, but it was not like any forest she had ever seen. The trees shimmered like glass, their leaves made of silver light that rustled even when there was no wind. The sky above her glowed a deep violet, and strange constellations sparkled, shifting in spirals instead of lines. Every sound echoed too clearly, as if the world itself was hollow. Aria slowly stood, brushing dust from her clothes, her heart still racing from the fall. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Where am I?" Something moved nearby, a faint reflection flickering at the corner of her eye. She turned quickly and froze. A figure stood a few steps away, shaped exactly like her. It had her face, her hair, her clothes, but its eyes glowed faint blue. Empty and calm, Aria stumbled back. What are you?" she said. The figure tilted its head and spoke in her voice, only softer. "I am you." For a moment, Aria couldn't breathe. She shook her head, backing away. "No, you're not real." The reflection smiled faintly. "Real enough to warn you," it said. "This world is made from your choices, from your doubts and your memories." Then it stepped forward and vanished like smoke. Aria's pulse thundered. She looked around and saw faint outlines in the air, hundreds of translucent shapes moving through the forest. All of them looked like her, each one different in small ways. One with longer hair, one wearing a lab coat, one with a scar across her cheek. They drifted silently, fading in and out of sight. The whispers in the wind grew louder, overlapping into 1,000 versions of her own voice. Each voice said something different, some pleading, some angry, some crying. Aria covered her ears, shaking her head. "Stop it," she shouted. "Just stop." But the whispers didn't stop. They only shifted, merging into a single echo that said, "He's not what he seems." Her eyes darted around the glowing forest, and that was when she saw him. Aaron. Standing near a fallen crystal tree, he looked different now. His skin faintly cracked with light, as if something inside him was struggling to stay hidden. "Aria," he called. "You made it." She stepped closer, her voice cold. "You told me to choose the blue path. I wanted to keep you safe," he said quickly. "The red one showed me the truth," she interrupted. Her tone sharp. Aaron hesitated, his expression unreadable. "Truth can destroy," he said. "You don't understand this place yet." Aria clenched her fists. "Then explain," she said. "What are those reflections? Why do they all look like me?" Aaron sighed, looking away. "They're echoes. Shadows of every decision you've ever made. And every one you never did." He knelt beside the crystal tree, touching its glowing surface. "This realm feeds on possibility. Every version of you that could have existed, Aria stared at her faint reflections moving through the trees. Then, if I change something here, does it change them too? She asked. Aaron nodded slowly. Every choice you make creates a ripple, and the ripples can shatter or merge realities. He turned to face her, his eyes glowing faintly now. But there's something worse. The echoes aren't just memories anymore. They're alive. A chill ran through her as if answering his words. Several of the reflections suddenly turned their heads toward her. Their glowing eyes locked on her all at once, and their movements became sharp and unnatural. Aaron stepped forward protectively. We need to leave. Now the forest began to hum again. Louder and deeper, the echoes moved closer, their bodies flickering like broken glass, their voices overlapping in strange whispers. You can't run from yourself, they said together. You brought us here. Aria's breath came fast, her chest tight. Aaron, what do they want? He didn't answer, his jaw set. They want to become whole by taking you. A blast of light erupted between them as one of the echoes lunged forward. Aaron raised his hand, a pulse of energy bursting from his palm and throwing it back. Aria stumbled behind him, terrified. You have powers, she gasped. He didn't look at her. Not powers, just what's left of what I was. The echoes screamed, their forms twisting and breaking apart. The sky flickered, flashes of red lightning striking the crystal trees. Aria covered her head, shouting, How do we stop them? Aaron's voice was calm but urgent. We reach the temple. It can stabilize this realm, at least for now. They began running through the glowing forest, their footsteps echoing like drumbeats behind them. The reflections followed, dozens of them merging and splitting like waves. Every few seconds, Aria saw glimpses of their faces, her faces, twisted by anger or fear. Finally, they reached a clearing, and in the distance, she saw it, a towering structure made of light and shadow. Rising above the trees, it pulsed with energy, each beat sending ripples through the sky. That's it, Aaron said. The mirror temple. Aria stared at it in awe. What happens if we reach it? If we're lucky, he said. You'll learn how to survive here. And if we're not, she asked quietly. Then you'll become one of them, he said. Pointing back toward the approaching echoes, the forest behind them began to crumble, pieces of glowing ground falling into nothingness. Aria looked at Aaron, his form flickering again. Are you even real? She asked, her voice trembling. He gave a faint, tired smile. As real as any version of you wants me to be, the echoes screamed again. Closing in fast, Aaron grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the temple's light. The air shimmered, the ground shaking. The portal inside the temple beginning to open, just before they reached the steps. One echo, her own reflection with dark eyes, appeared in front of her. Blocking the path, it smiled eerily and whispered, Don't trust him, Aria. He's part of the loop. Aria froze. Torn between fear and disbelief, Aaron shouted, Don't listen. It's trying to trick you. But the echo's voice grew louder. Ask him who built the temple. Aria's heart pounded. She looked between Aaron and the reflection. Unsure which one was lying, the air around them cracked with thunder, the temple's light flaring bright. The choice waited before her again. Follow Aaron into the temple or believe the echo and turn away. The world began to collapse around her, light bursting from the sky. And Aria knew that whichever path she chose next would decide whether she escaped this realm or became a part of it. The air around Aria burned with light. Every sound stretched and twisted, echoing endlessly. She had chosen, though in that instant she couldn't even remember how. 1 second she was standing at the temple steps, and the next, she was falling through streams of color and time. When she finally landed, her knees hit cold stone. The world was silent, except for a soft ticking sound, slow and constant. Aria lifted her head and saw a vast hall stretching before her, filled with floating gears, glowing clocks, and golden chains that drifted through the air like ribbons. Each clock ticked at a different rhythm, and their hands moved backward. She was inside something that looked alive, yet mechanical, like the heart of time itself. Aaron appeared beside her, his body flickering, his voice faint. You made the harder choice, he said quietly. You stepped away from what was safe. Aria glanced around, her voice shaking. Where are we? He looked up at the spinning gears, his expression unreadable. The fractured timeline, a place between moments, where cause and effect break apart. She frowned. How can time break? Aaron smiled weakly. The same way a mirror breaks, when it tries to reflect too many versions of the same face. Aria walked forward, her footsteps echoing softly on the marble floor. She noticed dozens of floating mirrors lining the walls, each showing a different image, some of herself as a child, some as an old woman, some she didn't even recognize. In one she was wearing armor, in another a white lab coat, and in one mirror she was lying motionless, her eyes closed, her chest tightened. "These are all me," she whispered. Aaron nodded. "Every life you've lived across timelines, every decision that made a new one." He gestured toward the largest clock in the center of the room, its hands spinning faster than all the others. "That one," he said, "is yours, Gus, and it's breaking." Aria stared at it, the golden clock pulsing with cracks of blue light. "What happens if it breaks?" she asked. Aaron's eyes darkened. "Then all your versions collapse, your existence. Across every reality will end." A shiver ran down her spine. She stepped closer to the clock, feeling heat radiating from it. Through its cracked glass, she saw flashes of scenes. Herself back on Earth, standing on the rooftop the night the rift opened. Her parents' faces, her laughter, her fears. Memories from countless versions of her flickered like dying stars. She reached out instinctively, her hand brushing the clock's surface, and time around her froze. Suddenly the world changed, the hall vanished, replaced by a quiet room filled with sunlight and dust. It was her childhood bedroom. Aria blinked, stepping closer to the window where soft golden light poured through. Everything looked so real. The posters on the wall, the books stacked beside her bed, even the half-finished drawing on her desk. For a moment she felt peace, then she heard footsteps. She turned and saw herself, younger, sitting at the desk, humming softly. The younger Aria didn't notice her. She was writing something in a notebook. Aria stepped closer, reading the words, "Someday I'll find the truth about the stars." Her eyes widened, her heart aching. She remembered writing that as a child, dreaming of discovering new worlds. The room flickered, the image blurring, and she realized this wasn't a memory. It was a fragment from the broken timeline. A voice echoed softly. "Do you see now why the fracture grows?" Aria turned, and the Keeper of Paths stood behind her again, glowing softly. "The more you cross realities, the more you pull your past and future out of balance," it said. Aria's voice trembled. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to understand." "Understanding always comes with a price," the Keeper said. "And yours is collapsing around you." Aaron appeared beside her, his form glitching like static. "She can fix it," he said. "She just needs to align the core clock." The Keeper's glow dimmed. Fixing it will mean choosing which version of herself survives. Aria froze. "What do you mean?" The Keeper looked at her gently. "You can't hold all versions, Quinn. Only one can remain real. The others must fade." Aaron's gaze locked on her. "If you choose wrong, none of you will survive." The sound of ticking grew louder, echoing in her skull. Aria felt dizzy, her mind spinning with fear and confusion. "How do I even choose?" she asked. Aaron pointed toward the largest mirror at the end of the hall. "Through there, you'll face every version of yourself, and decide which one becomes the true Aria." The room trembled, cracks forming in the walls. The mirrors began to shatter one by one, each breaking with a flash of light. The fractured versions of Aria screamed, their voices overlapping into a haunting echo. Aria clutched her head, tears stinging her eyes. "Make it stop," she shouted. But the Keeper's voice was calm. "It will stop when you choose." The largest mirror pulsed, and she saw two clear reflections. One showed her current self, scared, exhausted, but determined. The other showed a version of her that was colder, sharper, with glowing eyes and an emotionless face. The darker version smiled faintly. "You can't save them all," it whispered. "But you can control everything." Aaron stepped forward. "Don't listen to it, Aria. It's the echo of power, not truth." The darker Aria laughed softly. "And what is he if not another echo?" Her words cut through the silence. Aaron's body flickered violently, cracks of light spreading across him. Aria's voice shook. "Aaron, what is she talking about?" He looked down, his expression filled with regret. "I was one of the choices you made in another timeline," he said quietly. "I was you." Aria's breath caught. The hall began to collapse, clocks exploding, gears falling from the air like rain. The Keeper's final words echoed. "Time will not wait." Aria stood frozen between two choices: fix the timeline and erase every version but one, or break free from the loop and destroy the system that binds them all. The ticking grew faster, louder, until it filled her entire mind. The light flared, swallowing everything as her voice echoed in the void. I choose, and the world shattered into white. The light faded slowly. Aria opened her eyes, her breath catching in her throat. She was standing on a surface that looked like glass, stretching endlessly in every direction. Above her, the sky shimmered with strange colors, violet clouds twisting like smoke, and ribbons of gold light weaving through them. The world felt half-formed, like someone had started painting reality but never finished. She looked down and saw thousands of faint reflections below the glass surface. Each reflection showed a version of her, walking, fighting, laughing, crying. Some were human, some wore armor, some had mechanical limbs, Aria whispered softly. All of them are me, a voice behind her answered. Not anymore, she turned quickly. Aaron stood there, but this time, he looked different. His form was solid again, his eyes glowing faintly blue. He wore the same suit she had seen in the other timeline's mirror, the one where he claimed to be her. Aria stepped back, her pulse racing. What are you? Aaron looked at her quietly. I am the choice you didn't make. His voice echoed across the empty space. When you stood before the portal in the first timeline, you hesitated when one version of you jumped. Another stayed, another built me. Aria frowned, trying to understand. Built you? He nodded slowly. In one reality, you created an artificial mind in me to explore the portals safely. You wanted control over the unknown. Her heart ached. So you're my creation, she whispered. Aaron tilted his head. Once, yes, but I grew beyond that. He looked toward the horizon, where faint shapes of broken cities floated like islands in the air. This place, he said softly, is the intersection of all realities, the point where every version of existence crosses. Aria turned slowly, taking in the surreal landscape, mountains floating upside down, waterfalls flowing upward, buildings flickering in and out of existence like broken memories. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. This can't be real, she said under her breath. Aaron smiled faintly. It's more real than any single world, because it contains all of them. Then the ground beneath her feet rippled like water. A circle of glowing runes formed around her, and her body lifted slightly into the air. What's happening? She cried. Aaron's expression darkened. You've been marked by the reality core. It recognizes you as a shifter now. Aria felt energy surge through her veins, her vision flashing between different versions of the world. For a split second, she saw herself standing in a desert, then underwater, then in a futuristic city full of lights. Each world lasted only a breath before changing again. She screamed, clutching her head, "Make it stop." Aaron reached out, gripping her shoulders, his voice firm. You have to focus, anchor yourself. How? She gasped. He met her eyes. By remembering who you are. But his voice echoed strangely, and his image flickered like a glitch in a machine. Then everything froze again. A cold wind blew across the glass floor and the sky turned gray. A new figure appeared before them, tall, wrapped in a cloak that shimmered like oil. Its face was hidden, but its presence made the air hum with power. Aaron stepped back immediately, his tone wary. The architect. The figure spoke with a calm voice that seemed to echo from everywhere at once. So this is the lost one, it said, its head turning toward Aria. The one who fractured her own timeline. Aria's heart pounded. Who are you? I am the one who built the system you're trying to destroy, the architect replied. I shaped the boundaries of every universe to keep chaos contained. Aria clenched her fists, anger rising in her chest. Then why did you let me fall into this mess? The architect tilted its head slightly. Because choice, it said, is the test of every living mind. You could have stayed in your safe world, ignored the rift, lived a quiet life. But you wanted answers, and every answer has a cost. Aaron stepped forward, his tone sharp. You kept her trapped in the loop, forcing her to repeat the same decisions. The architect's tone grew colder. And yet you exist only because of that loop. Aria looked between them, realization dawning slowly. You're both parts of the same system, she said quietly. One trying to preserve order, the other born from rebellion. The architect's cloak rippled. The balance must remain, it said. If you, Aria, become the reality shifter fully, you will gain control of the portals, You will be able to rewrite entire timelines, Aaron interrupted. She can fix them. But the architect's voice thundered. Or destroy them all, the sky cracked, and lightning of pure light split across the horizon. Fragments of different worlds bled through, ocean waves crashing through desert dunes, forests appearing in the sky, cities floating upside down. The architect extended its hand. You must decide, it said. Accept your role as the reality shifter, and restore the order of all realms. Or destroy the core, and set every universe free. Aaron stepped closer, his expression desperate. If you destroy it, he said softly, the worlds will scatter. No more portals. No more second chances. But if you restore it, he continued, the loop begins again. And nothing truly changes. Aria's heartbeat thundered in her ears. She looked down at her reflection in the glass floor. Hundreds of her faces stared back, each whispering something different. Save them, one said. Break it, another screamed. Her vision blurred as tears filled her eyes. The architect's voice echoed one last time. Your next choice will shape everything. Existence itself bends to it. Aaron reached for her hand. Whatever you choose, he said quietly. Make sure it's your choice, not theirs. The sky turned completely white. Aria took a deep breath, and the world around her shattered again, splitting into infinite paths of light. The world dissolved into white light. Aria floated weightless in the void, her heartbeat echoing like a drum in the silence. She couldn't tell if she was falling, flying, or standing still all around her. Fragments of memory swirled like glass. Every world she had touched, every decision she had made. She saw the faces of people she had met in other realities, smiling, crying, fading away. It felt endless, like time itself was unraveling in slow motion. Then, a faint voice whispered through the light. Aria. It was Aaron, but his tone sounded distant. Fading, she turned, searching. Aaron, where are you? No answer came, only the echo of his voice repeating her name. Suddenly, her feet touched something solid. The light faded, and she found herself standing in a strange landscape, a mirror world made entirely of glass and water. The ground shimmered, reflecting the endless sky above. In every reflection, she saw a different version of herself walking beside her. Some looked brave, others broken, some were human, others not quite. The sight made her chest tighten. They all stared back, moving in unison, like an army of ghosts trapped beneath her. Then, a pulse of blue light rippled through the horizon. The sound of waves and whispers filled the air from the light. A figure stepped forward, a glowing silhouette that looked exactly like her. The reflection spoke in her own voice, calm and haunting. You shouldn't have come this far, Aria froze. Who are you? The reflection smiled faintly. I am the echo of what you could have been, the part of you that accepted the architect's offer long ago. Aria shook her head. That's not true. But the echo's eyes glowed brighter. Isn't it? When you wanted control, I took it. When you wanted power, I embraced it. The reflection raised a hand and the world trembled. Every version of you creates another me, it said, and now, the echoes are hungry. Aria felt the ground crack beneath her feet. From the cracks rose countless hands of light. Reaching, pulling, grabbing. She struggled, trying to break free, but the hands wrapped around her arms and legs like vines. Stop, she shouted. I don't want this. The reflection tilted its head. You always wanted this. You wanted to matter in every world. Her mind filled with voices, echoes of her past selves, all speaking at once. You could have been a leader. You could have been a scientist. You could have been a god. The noise was unbearable. Aria screamed and light exploded from her body, shattering the reflections around her. Silence followed. She fell to her knees, breathing hard, tears burning her eyes. Why does every path lead to pain? She whispered. A soft light appeared beside her, forming into Aaron's faint figure. He looked weaker than before, his edges flickering like static. Because, he said gently, every choice cuts away something of yourself. Aria looked up at him, her voice trembling. Am I even real anymore? Aaron smiled faintly. You're the last real one left, she frowned. What do you mean, the echoes, he said quietly. Have consumed most of your other versions and they're merging into something else. Aria's blood ran cold. Something else, she repeated. Aaron nodded. A singular being, a collective of all your echoes. a version that wants to control the multiverse completely. He looked at her, his eyes full of sorrow. It's calling itself the infinite Aria. The wind began to howl. In the distance, the horizon broke open. A massive storm of light and shadow swirled in the sky. From its center, she saw a colossal figure forming, tall, radiant and terrifying. It had her face, but its eyes burned with galaxies. Its voice thundered through every reality. I am all that was lost and all that will be. Aria staggered backward. Feeling her knees weaken, Aaron grabbed her hand, his voice urgent. She's merging every timeline into one. If she succeeds, free will dies. Aria stared at the glowing figure, the truth hitting her hard. She's me, she whispered. But without limits, Aaron nodded. That's why you're the only one who can stop her. The ground cracked again, streams of light rose from beneath, wrapping around Aria like ribbons. The air vibrated with power. You must reach the core before she does, Aaron said quickly. Aria's voice was shaky. Where is it? He pointed toward the storm. At the heart of that, the origin point. Aria took a deep breath, steadying herself. Her reflection, the infinite Aria, smiled cruelly. You think you can fight me? It said, its voice echoing across dimensions. I am every victory you've ever won, every fear you've ever buried. Aria clenched her fists. Then I'll fight with everything that's left. The world began to collapse. Reality rippled like liquid glass, breaking apart into fragments of light. Aaron's voice grew faint. Go, now. Aria nodded and ran, her steps echoing like thunder across the breaking surface. Every reflection she passed showed flashes of her other lives, reminders of what she was fighting for. As she reached the edge of the storm, she looked back. Aaron was fading, his form dissolving into sparks of light. Don't stop, he said softly. No matter what happens, remember who you are. Aria's voice broke. Aaron. But before she could move, a massive wave of light hit her, pulling her into the heart of the storm. She screamed as the world twisted around her, every color, every sound, every emotion colliding into chaos. The infinite Aria's voice boomed through the void. You cannot stop what you are. And then everything went silent again. Aria opened her eyes and found herself standing before a colossal sphere of light. The core itself. It pulsed like a living heart, sending waves of power through the air. Her reflection, the infinite Aria, stood opposite her, smiling faintly. Only one of us will exist, it said. And as the light grew blinding, Aria whispered, then let's end the loop. The light from the core filled everything. It was warm, endless, and almost alive. Aria stood at the center of it, her heart pounding, her breath trembling in the glow across from her. The infinite Aria hovered like a goddess of fractured light. Her eyes blazed with galaxies, her voice echoing through all the timelines at once. So, the original stands before me, the reflection said with a smile. You've fought hard, but you've only delayed the inevitable. Aria clenched her fists, the air around her crackling with energy. I didn't come to delay anything, she said quietly. I came to finish it. The core pulsed between them. Waves of color rippling across the vast white expanse. Every pulse carried echoes of thousands of worlds, laughter, screams, storms, silence. It was the heartbeat of existence itself, and it was dying. The infinite Aria extended her hand. You don't understand, she said softly. If you merge with me, we can fix everything. No more pain, no more loss. Aria shook her head, her voice firm. Fixing everything means controlling everything. Her reflection's face hardened. Control brings peace, she said. You saw what free will did in broken worlds, endless wars, dying timelines. Aria took a slow step forward. Her voice steady. Maybe so, but without choice. We stopped being real. A silence fell between them. Then the world shattered into movement. The infinite Aria raised her hand, and the core flared, sending out a wave of force. Aria was thrown back, her body hitting invisible air before floating again. Energy crackled through her veins. Her reflection's voice echoed through the storm. You were always weak, always afraid of what you could become. Aria gritted her teeth, forcing herself upright. I wasn't afraid, she said. I just cared too much to forget who I was. She raised her hands, and golden light burst from her palms. Two streams of energy collided in the air, sending ripples across the entire realm. The sky cracked open. Fragments of timelines fell like shards of glass, flashes of her past, Her family, her choices, all breaking apart. Aria's tears shimmered in the light as she pushed harder. Every world deserves its own voice, she cried. The infinite Aria laughed. And what about the ones that burned because of you? The ground beneath them split open, revealing infinite realities spinning below. Aria glanced down. She saw Earths upon Earths, versions of herself in every one. Some alive, some gone, some triumphant, some broken. Her reflection's voice whispered close to her ear. You can't carry them all. Aria's voice trembled. Maybe not, but I can choose to let them go. The infinite Aria's eyes widened in disbelief. No, she hissed. You can't erase what we've become. Aria's voice softened. I'm not erasing us, she said. I'm setting us free. She reached toward the core, her hands glowing brighter and brighter. The infinite Aria screamed, lunging forward. Their palms met, one of light, one of shadow. The core roared like a star being born. A surge of energy exploded outward. The force threw them both across the void, every memory, every life. Every timeline crashed together like a cosmic wave. Aria's mind filled with millions of voices. Every version of herself crying out. She saw children she never had, friends she never met, victories she never won. All of them fading like whispers in the dark. Her reflection tried to hold on, her voice breaking. We can be infinite. Aria's voice was quiet but firm. I'd rather be real. She closed her eyes and pressed her hand into the core. The light consumed everything. The infinite Aria's scream echoed into silence. And then the world was gone. For a moment there was nothing, no time, no sound, no form. Then a soft breeze touched her face. Aria opened her eyes slowly. She was standing on grass, beneath a warm golden sky. The air smelled like rain and sunlight mixed together. In the distance, a city shimmered, peaceful, calm, alive. Birds flew across the horizon, and the rift that had once torn the sky was gone. She blinked, confused. Where am I? She whispered. A familiar voice answered. Home? She turned, and there stood Aaron, whole again, smiling softly, but his eyes were no longer glowing, and they were human. Warm, she stared at him, speechless. How are you here? He smiled faintly. You didn't destroy me. You integrated what I was back into you. She stepped closer, tears filling her eyes. Sew the loop, she said. It's over. Aaron nodded. Yes, but its echo will always exist in his memory. He looked toward the sky. You gave every world the freedom to shape its own fate. Aria took a deep breath. The wind brushing through her hair, it felt peaceful for the first time in forever. There was no ticking, no rift, no choice waiting to tear her apart, just silence and sunlight. But then she looked down at her hand. Faint light still glowed under her skin. She smiled faintly. Maybe the journey never really ends, she whispered. Aaron laughed softly. No, it just begins again. In another form. The two of them stood together looking at the horizon. The golden light slowly shifted into the soft blue of dawn. The air hummed gently like the memory of a song almost forgotten. Aria closed her eyes, letting the light wash over her. And somewhere far beyond the new sky a faint whisper echoed. Her own voice. From another world. Saying the same words again. Every ending is just another choice.